Welcome back to Views with Hughes, your Jennifer News. This is Jerome Hughes. Now let's go ahead and get right into it now. As you all know, episode 7 of Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy couldn't even make it to the top 10 of Nielsen ratings once again. Now, this is now the 4th week in a row that this Disney Star Wars disaster has failed to chart on Disney Plus since it streamed in June and July. Now, just so we're clear, the Nielsen ratings are indeed important, and Disney automatically tracks them in your Disney Plus accounts. Okay, so for all the Disney shows out there, sorry, but there's still no word on Disney Star Wars Acolyte Season 2 for Leslye Headland. Now, with the big Disney D23 Expo happening this weekend, if there's going to be an announcement, it'll probably be happening then and there. Now, as you all know, even the showrunner, Leslye Headland, admitted that she hasn't heard anything about a second season and is not working on one either. But that's no surprise to all of us. But let's talk about the numbers right now. So for the Nielsen ratings for the week when Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy, episode 7 was released, showed that Netflix's Stranger Things made it on the chart with 375 million minutes in the millions. Now, since Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland, approved by Kathleen Kennedy, didn't chart, we know that the viewership numbers were even lower than 375 million minutes, and the early episodes were even worse, with numbers below 332, 319, and 298 million minutes. Okay, so this has officially made Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland under Kathleen Kennedy the lowest rated and least watched Disney Star Wars show, on Disney Plus, even worse than Andor. But then again, that's not saying much. But Andor episode 7 418, Ahsoka 572, Boba Fett 580, along with The Mandalorian season 3 1025 million minutes watched, and The Mandalorian season 2 1042 million minutes watched. Now, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland, approved by Kathleen Kennedy, is just another example of what happens when woke ideology is actually prioritized over good storytelling. But let's talk about why there should absolutely not be a Leslye Headland Disney Star Wars The Acolyte Season 2. Now, if the first season has taught us anything, it's that Disney Star Wars The Acolyte is the perfect example of everything wrong with modern entertainment. It's trying to push, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte is trying to push an agenda rather than telling a good story, and the fans are rejecting it, along with what Leslye Headland is doing. Now, the numbers don't lie. As I showed you, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland couldn't even crack their Nielsen ratings on 4 weeks in a row, and that's embarrassing for any production. But it's especially bad for Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland. And this franchise used to be a guaranteed hit, something like that will draw in millions of viewers just by slapping the Star Wars name on it, but not anymore. And that's because of Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland and stuff. But not just her, but also Kathleen Kennedy. And let's be honest here, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte was doomed from the start. Now, the people behind it clearly had no interest in respecting the legacy that George Lucas created, but instead, like I stated before, they're more focused on pushing the woke narratives that don't resonate with the core fan base. And then what's the result? Disney Star Wars The Acolyte is basically not unpopular, especially if it came from Leslye Headland, but it's also downright disliked. And when even the most loyal Star Wars fans are tuning out, something's wrong, and you've done something wrong. Now, they might try to sell us on the idea of Leslye Headland Disney Star Wars The Acolyte Season 2 at the Disney D23 Expo, but let's be real here. Who's asking for that? Leslye Headland herself isn't even working on it, and she openly said that she hasn't heard anything about it. Now, that should tell you all that you need to know. Now, if the people behind Disney Star Wars The Acolyte don't seem to care, well, let's be honest. Why should we? Okay. But it's also time for Disney to go ahead and face the facts and cut their losses. You see, greenlighting a Disney Star Wars The Acolyte Season 2 would be throwing good money at the bad, okay? Instead of just doubling down on Disney Star Wars The Acolyte with Leslye Headland, that's clearly not working. They should actually focus on creating content that fans actually want to see. Content that respects the lore, honors the characters, and doesn't even try to force political messages down our throats. Now, it's clear. The failure of Disney Star Wars The Acolyte by Leslye Headland is a wake-up call. It should be a wake-up call for Kathleen Kennedy. The audience has spoken and they made it clear that this is not the direction they want Star Wars to go in. And instead of pushing forward with another Disney Star Wars The Acolyte Season 2, Disney should just go ahead, take a step back, listen to the fans, and start course correcting before the Star Wars brand is damaged. Well, actually, the Star Wars brand is actually damaged beyond repair. So, no, there shouldn't be a Disney Star Wars Acolyte Season 2, and it's time to move on and focus on creating the Star Wars content that can actually bring the magic back into the franchise rather than drive fans away. And that can also be done with Kathleen Kennedy being gone. Now, let's be honest here. As you all know, Kathleen Kennedy has announced that, you know, if she's going to do a big hit, then she's going to have to go ahead and then just basically, like, if she's going to retire, she's going to have to make another big hit, you know, and that's the only way that Kathleen Kennedy would retire. But let's face it, Bob Iger's not going to fire her. You know, he's too scared to fire her. Kathleen Kennedy, I'm pretty sure she's not going out, you know, with a strong lead. And then there's also the issue of someone who's not going to be willing to take on Kathleen Kennedy's place. Now, Jon Favreau, he sounds good, but highly doubted that it's going to be going to him. The next up in line will be most likely Dave Filoni. Okay, you see, Dave Filoni, he's a chief creative officer, all right, the CCO. And there's people out there who also stated that, you know, Leslye Headland would be the next lead at Lucasfilm. That's impossible. She's only a director of one failed project. Okay, but let's face it, Disney Star Wars The Acolyte, you know, hopefully it's the wake-up call for Kathleen Kennedy to actually go ahead and view the stories and stuff closely, and also actually listen to if the Star Wars fans are going to like it, or if they're not going to like it. And if they hate it, then she should stop. Kathleen Kennedy should basically just stop calling them every instant phobe in the book for simply having an opinion or lack of interest in it. But remember, Leslye Headland and Kathleen Kennedy need to also understand that this is done for the fans, okay? The core audiences who are not into the woke ideology, who don't even like stuff that's political, okay? And the fact of the matter is, like the few remaining fans that are left over, even if Disney Star Wars shills and stuff to turn on this show. And you know what? It's no surprise because Disney Star Wars The Acolyte, you know, it didn't really have much of a chance to actually compete. All right, it can't even, none of the Disney Plus shows with Disney Star Wars can't even beat Mandalorian season 3, and season 3 sucked. Okay, and quite frankly, to this day, I still haven't watched the Mandalorian season 3 season finale. All right, now how things going to go with this Mandalorian Grogu movie, I'm honestly not sure. Of course, they're going to call it the Mandalorian Grogu movie because of the fact that, you know, Grogu sells, okay? And then there's also a whole issue with the whole, you know, like renewing Disney Star Wars The Acolyte season 2. Now, Leslye Headland, as you all know, has been going on full force, having people on social media talk about season 2 for The Acolyte, and you know, she's having them to go ahead and spread the word so that way Disney Star Wars The Acolyte season 2 can be greenlit and they can start working on it. But the thing is, if it hasn't cracked the top 10 of Nielsen streaming numbers, it's not most likely not going to be greenlit. But then again, this is Disney Star Wars under Kathleen Kennedy that we're talking about. Okay. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Also, be sure to include any additional thoughts you might have in this particular topic. If you enjoyed what I shared this video, go ahead and smash the like button and share it far wide across social media. And if you haven't done so already and you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell notification so that way you will notify the future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.